Hello everyone and welcome to one of the best selling plug-in hybrid mid-size SUV in Canada. It's value for money, it's comfortable and it's improved, which is this 2025 Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid. So this 2025 Outlander is offered in exactly the same variants as the previous year. So the variants offered are ES, SE, LE, SEL, GT and GT Premium, and there is one more, the Noir edition, which is basically the blacked out edition, but it's the top of the line variant. And the particular variant that I'm reviewing is exactly the same, the Outlander Noir edition, and all of them come with the S all-wheel drive, which is all standard across all the model lineup. And let me begin with this Noir edition of the Outlander. So you get this big chunky grille out here in blacked out pates, glossy plastic all around, just the chrome Mitsubishi badging. The Outlander badging is also in black. There are more black glossy plastic bits around these headlight cluster. I really like the front end of this Outlander. It's got such a presence. It's muscular, it's beefy, and it's really huge, you know, in terms of its appearance. And then there are these headlights that are sitting on the upper side. So these are the full set of LED headlight cluster, and there are also these fog lights that are sitting at the bottom, and those are the LED fog lights too, again surrounded by the black glossy plastic. And this color combination of this dark gray and black, that's particularly a very great combo. It makes it look very stealthy for sure. Then there's this grille opening out here, more grille opening at the bottom, and then the design is slightly different in terms of its appearance compared to the previous generation, but more or less it's nearly identical in that sense. There's also the camera in the front glass for the active and the passive safety systems, and on the top sits the LED DRL. So the headlight cluster is like a split one, so the DRLs are the LED ones, and underneath those DRLs sits the turn lights. Again, they are also the LED, and underneath the bonnet sits the 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine that is clubbed with 2 electric motors. So more black bits continue on the side too. So you get these blacked out 20-inch aluminum alloy wheels. Then there is also this plastic skirting on the fender, and the only exception is this plug-in hybrid EV badge, which is in chrome. Then there is this dark chrome half surround sitting at the bottom of these windows. There's also the Noir badging in the rear doors. Again, plastic skirtings on the fenders in the back too, and then body colored skirtings sitting at the bottom, and they covered the frame completely. I've also had a chance last year to go out with Mitsubishi. They had invited me to test this Outlander. You can check that video by clicking the pop-up banner out there, where I had the opportunity to test this car properly in the wilderness, the proper 4x4 capabilities, and it actually works very well. You will be surprised to see that. And when we come to these side mirrors, so on this Noir edition, these are the glossy black side mirrors, and they are power foldable, they are power adjustable. They also have the blind spot warning on the inside and the turn signals on the edge, and also one of the cameras from the 360-degree camera system. Then these blacked out pillars, and then the blacked out roof rails on the top. When we come to the doors, so the front doors are the keyless entry doors, and it also comes with Mitsubishi Connect. So you can connect this car through your mobile phone application, download that and control bits like unlock, lock the car, remote, start the engine, change the temperature and everything. So you can preheat or pre-cool the car before entering on the inside. And out here in the back there is the fuel filler, and on the other side there is the charging port. So the car comes with the AC and the DC charging capabilities, and when you connect this Outlander to an AC charger, 240 volts 15 ampere outlet, then it takes about 6.5 hours, whereas if you connect to the Cadmo chargers, which is the DC charging, can charge up to 80% in just under 38 minutes. And if you let the battery charge using the engine, which can act as a generator, then it would take around 94 minutes to charge up to 80%. So those are the numbers and the figures. And there are two electric motors, one in the front and one in the back. The front one produces 114 horsepower, 188 pound-feet of torque. The rear ones produce 134 horsepower and 144 pound-feet of torque. And there is a battery pack which is 20 kilowatt hour that is sitting at the bottom. And as I said, all the models of the Outlander come with the S all-wheel drive control as standard. And there are three different ways where the EV and the engine combination works together. So you can drive in pure EV mode, or there is a series hybrid where the engine, as I mentioned, acts as a generator and then it powers those motors via charging the battery, or there is the parallel mode where the engine and the electric motors work in tandem together to give you the power that's needed during different stages of acceleration or cruising. Now in the rear there is minor change to the tail light cluster. So there are these T-shaped signature LED tail lights, turn signals, reverse lights, everything is completely in LED. So it's like this long swooping tail light cluster, and there is also this Outlander badging in the chrome, the SAWC, which is the super all-wheel drive control, then the plug-in hybrid badge on the other side, and there's also a spoiler, small one provided in the back, which is like a combination of body colored and plastic at the bottom. And in terms of the visibility, so when the third row of seats, because this thing comes with 3 rows of seats, so when the headrests are up, then the visibility is actually quite restricted because the headrests are actually quite tall, so that reduces the visibility by a lot. But if they are folded down, then the visibility is all right because the rear glass is quite tall that way, so it gives you good amount of overall visibility from the rear. The bumper in the bottom is quite body colored, simple one, and the glossy plastics at the bottom too instead of the chrome. And as I said, I really like this combination of dark gray and black bits, and then there are these fake exhaust vents on either side, so the actual exhaust tip is mounted underside. Now in order to open the trunk door, you can swipe your leg and then open the trunk door, or there is a button also provided, and there are scuff plates provided in the back, plastic ones, so that you don't damage your bumper, and things get interesting from this point. So as I mentioned, this is a 3-row SUV, mid-size SUV. So when the third row of seats are folded up, you can put 12.8 cubic feet of luggage, and the trunk floor itself is quite deep, so there's a bit of a step, so you can still utilize this. There's also this trunk separator, but that can be removed, and when the third row seats are folded, then you can put it somewhere behind, so you can completely cover this entire trunk space. There's also an AC 1500 watt 3-pin plug point that can be switched on from the front next to the driver side, so there's a switch for that, and there's a trunk light here and also another light in the trunk door. And there's also this home charger that's been provided, but it's going to be very slow, so it's probably going to take you like somewhere around 8 to 10 hours to fully charge the 20 kilowatt hour battery pack. And underneath the trunk floor sits a tire repair kit because there are batteries, so it consumes all of that space, so there's no space for the actual spare wheel, but nonetheless, yes, there's a tire repair kit provided. Now in order to fold down the third row of seats, because they can fold in multiple ways, so let me first fold down the headrest, which is quite simple, and then you fold down the seats, and now I can remove this trunk separator because that's when I only get the space. So for a while I'll just put it in the front, and then I'm going to put it back again. Now there's another strap at the bottom of the third row seat, so you pull that and then you can fold down these seats like this, and they fold completely flat. So now you have the flatter arrangement, so there is no step or anything, and the seats fit inside this cavity in the back. So when the third row seats are folded down, you can put 30.8 cubic feet of luggage, which is pretty impressive now, because it makes sense the third row is a bit too far-fetched idea to have like 7 passengers, but most of the times with 5 passengers and these seats folded down, the 30.8 cubic feet makes a lot more sense. There are also tying points in the back side and also in the front side too, and now you can just put this trunk separator here, and then it can fully cover the entire trunk space in the back. So the second row seats are foldable in a ratio of 60:40, and there are levers provided in the back side for convenience. So you pull them and the seats fold down flat. Now when both the seats are folded down in the second row and also the third row, then you can put 64.7 cubic feet of luggage, which is very good. And the seats are also completely flat and aligned with the third row of seats, so the floor itself is through and through, so there is no step or anything, so it's going to be very easy to put your luggage in and out. And also the opening is quite decent, so it's not going to be a struggle to do any of that. And then once you're done, you can put this just trunk cover somewhere, because there's no space after that to put it anywhere if you're going to be utilizing both the seats folded down. And in order to close the trunk door, you can either swipe your leg, or there's a button provided out here to conveniently close this trunk door. Now in terms of the towing capacity, you can tow up to 1500 pounds with this 2.4 liter engine and 2 electric motors. Well, on the inside, this 2025 Outlander Noir edition has got a few subtle changes to the interiors, but on this variant I haven't come across them, because I know for a fact that the 2025 variant has these cup holders in here instead of being in the back side, which is what Mitsubishi has been understanding from their customers, and they made the changes to their interior. So that I know for a fact that the cup holders are situated here. And another one is the entertainment, because in terms of the music system, you get the Yamaha ones as an option on the top variant. So instead of the Bose music system, you get the Yamaha ones, so even those are not there on this. But otherwise, more or less, it's very identical to the previous generation of the Outlander. So on the dashboard, there is soft touch leather covered material with this black color stitching, and then even on the top face of this dashboard, there is just soft touch materials. Even on the side face out here of the dashboard, there is soft touch materials with the gray color stitching, not the black one. And on the top face of the door card, there is soft touch materials. On the side face, there is the diamond quilting design in the back side, but in the front side, there is just like normal plastic where going to be resting has that leather covered. Then around the switches, there is this carbon fiber plastic insert, and more glossy plastic out here around these switches and the gear shifter. Then behind that, there is like this patterned plastic around this gear shifter, and also this knob to change the drive modes. Cup holders in the back. This handrest is again leather covered. The steering wheel is also leather covered, which is half perforated too. This infotainment screen and the driver's display. Then these seats, again they are also the leather seats with the diamond quilting design in the middle. So yes, the material quality, again, it's exactly the same as the previous generation, just that this one has all blacked out, like every bit is black instead of having colored ones in the inside. So yeah, that's about it. Now when we come to the driver's display, so there is a 12.3-inch digital driver's display provided on this Outlander, and there are two dials on either side. So one dial that shows you the EV charge and the RPM counter on the left side, whereas on the right side it shows you the speedometer and your fuel gauge, and on the left side also it shows you the battery levels too, and then more details at the bottom. And in the middle there is the information which can be changed using the buttons that are provided on the left side of the steering wheel. So the first option is your compass, then you can leave it in blank, and then the information, manual reset 1, the trip details all related to that, history and everything, and EV driving ratio and time and everything. Then manual reset 2 and the auto refuel. Then we go to the next option, which is tire pressure, then the S all-wheel drive, the power distribution, the energy flow, where the energy is going from battery and the engine everywhere, drive battery temperature. Then we go next into the navigation, then into the media, where you can go into the sources, then into the driver assistance and forward, blind spot and the lane. And you can even press the button on the right side and you can go into that same menu option also. Then the traffic sign, and then the detailed settings, where there is the ASC setting, which is the traction control, driver assistance, personal display, what you see on the left side of the gauge, that you can change all the information, gear positions and average speed, brake lights, so nearly the same option as last year. Heads up display, eco mode setting, tire pressure, clock, vehicle settings, detail lighting, lock, wipers, driver positions and everything. Maintenance, customized display, then there is the unit language and the factory reset, and we come back into the main screen again, and there are also mood lights, just two of them given on the door cards itself near these door handles, and that's about it. That's how you use the driver's display. And when we come to this steering wheel, this is a leather covered steering wheel with the Mitsubishi badging in the middle in chrome, and 4-spoke steering wheel. Not a huge fan of these 4 spokes, but yes, this is still bearable, unlike something in like Hyundai, Santa Cruz, which has like 4 spokes. So you can click on the detailed review video of that and you can watch that one. And there are paddle shifters given in the back, so that can be used to set the brake regen levels. So there is the regenerative option, so up to 5 levels that's possible using the plus and minus buttons, and there are buttons provided on either side. So on the right side there are buttons for the adaptive cruise control as well as the voice control options, and on the left side there are buttons provided to change the information on the driver's display as well as the media controls. And the steering wheel is also manually adjustable, tilt and telescopic, pretty smooth. And the driver's display also has one more theme that can be changed, and the button again is provided on the left side of the driver's display. You press that and you can change the meter view where it shows like these round 3D dials on either side. Not a huge fan, but yes, it's given, and the same set of information that you can cycle through. When we come to the air conditioning controls, so you get tri-zone air conditioning system on this Outlander Noir edition, and straightforward button operated air conditioning system has been provided, so you can just switch it on and off from the left side dial, and then the dials on either side to change the temperature, and in the middle to change the fan speed as well as the direction of flow of air, fresh air and everything, and also the front heating glass option that's been provided, and also the button for the heated steering wheel that's also been provided. And there is only option to change the temperature for the rear, but no fan control speed or anything, so you can change the temperature from here. That's about it. That's how you operate this straightforward air conditioning system. And there are also buttons provided on either side for the heated seats, so the front driver and the passenger side seat are the heated seats. Now when we come to the infotainment screen, so there is a 9-inch infotainment system provided on this 2025 Outlander, and there are dials given on either side for volume and the scroller, and more buttons at the bottom for quick access to the menu options. And it's decently snappy, although I find it a bit laggy and a bit loaded in terms of its operation. And there are these main widgets on the home screen, and you can scroll through the left side and then you can customize the home menu options from here, or you can long press the menu options and also you can customize these menu options that you see. So clock, customize, lumbar massage settings, because these seats are massage seats, so you can go from here too. Then the main menu has go home, like set the home option on navigation. Then the connectivity options. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect this infotainment screen using Bluetooth, USB, and there is wired Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. And the next option is the XXM traffic, the SXM sports score, then the weather and fuel prices and everything. And then at the bottom there are more options for phone when the phone is connected. Then the info, where there is the EV option, you can see the energy usage, charging station, charging time, climate control, EV settings, all of that. Then the Mitsubishi Connect, as I said, you can connect using the app. The next option is the audio options, where there is AM, FM, Sirius XM trial package for 3 months, then the Bluetooth, then the USB and the detailed settings. And then we come to the main menu, then the map options. So there is inbuilt navigation system also provided. Again, it's a bit heavy and loaded, so it slows it down quite a bit. And then the search options and everything. We come back into the main menu options, the connection options, then the detailed settings options for connections, phone, navigation, sounds. So in terms of the sound, there are like Bose surround sound system provided on this Outlander. Then the volume and beeps, clock, customize, audio options, then the connect, Mitsubishi camera, seat, all the different settings. Then we come back to the main menu options, and then more buttons given at the bottom to set the brightness of the screen, leave it on auto, track changer, audio option, menu option, map option, and the camera options. So you get 360-degree camera system on this Outlander, and the thing that I find a bit weird is the fact that the reversing camera is mounted slightly on the left side, so it's a bit offset, and that's why the angle that you see from that rear camera also. So let me put it in the reverse and then show you, because it then only activates that. So it's a bit, you know, angled, so it takes a little while to understand how you're positioning the car, although there are guidelines, so you can understand using that. But yes, that takes a little while, but for some reason it's been mounted on the edge, and then you can press the camera option to see the right side of the feed or see the whole screen view of the front if you're somewhere in a parking lot to have a quick access. So yes, that's how you use this infotainment screen, fairly easy and straightforward. Now in terms of the charging, so there are two USB ports, one normal and one type C, and a wireless charger and a 12-volt power socket provided underneath the air conditioning controls, and there are two more USB ports, which is one type C and one normal, along with a plug point that is provided for the second row of passengers. Now on this Outlander there are extendable sun visors, there is also an SOS button for emergency purposes, there is also a panoramic sunroof. I'm not going to open the actual roof because it's raining currently. I don't want the car to get wet. It's been pouring since 2 days now. Finally the rain has stopped now, and it's still drizzling slightly, but yes, anyways, the sun roof is quite big and makes the car pretty bright on the inside and extends all the way till the back of the second row. Now there's also this slidable gear shifter, so it's shift by wire, so it's quite easy. You can put it into drive or the battery mode, so you can set the battery charging levels, then into the neutral you have to hold the button, then reverse and into the parking. And there is also a drive selector dial provided in the back. So there are 7 different driving modes and the terrain mode. So the first one is the power, which is like sport, eco, normal, then the tarmac and gravel, then the snow and the mud. And in the video that I had mentioned that I went last year with Mitsubishi, I tested nearly all of those modes, so you might want to check that video out. And there is also this EV button in the front, so you can set the EV mode like normal, EV, save or charge. So normal will combine the best use of motors and the engine together, then the EV would just use the EV if the batteries are charged enough. Then there is the save option where it would not use the EV and basically charge the battery, and then there is the charge option where it would just strictly charge the batteries. That's about it, so you can use it for a later date. And there's this one pedal drive button also next to that, so that you can just leave all the paddle shifters and everything, all that first, and just press that button and let the car charge. But it's a bit like a one pedal drive, so yeah, you have to get used to that because this aggressively brakes and regens the energy from that braking system. Now when we come to the storage, so in the door cards you can put about 1.5 liter worth of water, some more storage on the sides. There are these slots given on the center side of the tunnel, so where you can put your phones while they are charging. You can utilize this wireless charger to put your phones and wallets. 2 flexible cup holders, which I mentioned in the latest generation, sits here. Then there is this armrest, tiny one, where you can put your phones and wallets. Again, a glove box which is also tiny, so yeah, it's already occupied with a lot of books and booklets and stuff. Then same goes on the passenger side, and there's also this sunglass holder. And in the rear door cards, again, you can put like 1.5 liter worth of bottle in both the rear door cards, and also there are 2 more cup holders that are given in the center armrest, and there are cup holders given on either side in the third row of passengers. Now on this Outlander there is also a heads-up display which is pretty bright and clear, and it shows you wide variety of information like navigation, the media options and everything, and you can switch it on and off from the button that is provided on the left side of the driver. And in order to change anything related to this heads up display, so you go into the settings option from the driver's display and then into the head up display, change the brightness, height, rotation, and then the content selection, which is navigation, driving assistance, traffic, audio, telephone. That's about it. You can switch it on and off and then come out from there. Now when we come to these seats, so these are the leather seats on this Outlander. These are the black color leather seats. They are perforated, but they are only the heated seats, not the cooled seats, and these seats are quite broad, so they are also offering a lot of comfort inside them when you sit on them. So the seats are soft and squidgy that ways, and they are also offering good amount of side support as well as the bottom support also. And with the adjustability, there is numerous ways where you can get a lot of adjustment, and as a result of that, there's good amount of under thigh support too. And these seats are also quite long, the bottom side of it, so the back bit especially, that's also quite broad, and also it's curving, so it gives you good amount of support. The headrest, again, they are also decently soft too, and there is also the quilting design in the middle of the backrest and the bottom rest. And in terms of the adjustability, so the driver and the passenger side seats are both 8-way electronically adjustable as well as 4-way lumbar adjustment, and there's also the massage seat options that's available on both the driver and the passenger side seat. So you have to press the button given on the side face of the seat, and then from the infotainment screen you press the adjust button, and then 3 levels of massage settings, intensity, speed, and same for the passenger also, 3 levels and the intensity and speed that you can set. So you have the perfect blend of comfort and the massage seat option to have a long comfortable journey. So the second row of this new Outlander is quite identical to the previous generation. So in terms of the knee room, there is almost about 4 fingers worth of it after these seats are in my driving position, and the headroom, again, that's also decent, although someone about 6 foot 1 inch 2 inch would start brushing their heads against the ceiling. There's a bit of a cutout provided to increase the head space, and also these seats are slightly on the lower side, and they are also like the flat bench type of setup. And the reason I say that is because if you notice the angle that my legs are making, they miss out a little bit of the under thigh support, and there's not much space to slide your legs under the seat also, because there's a battery pack, and as a result of that there's not much space left, and these seats are filled with so many motors and stuff, so that's why again it reduces the space. So in the second row you get the same leather seats, black color, they are perforated, and they have the quilting design in the backrest and the bottom rest too, and the seats themselves are pretty soft, so it's going to be quite comfortable to sit inside them, and they are quite broad also, and there's a middle seat also. There's 3 headrests too. The middle headrest is a bit flatter one, and as I mentioned, there is also the hand rest, which you have to pull this strap first and then fold down the hand rest, so it falls down with the headrest itself, and then there are these 2 normal cup holders, and it's a bit slimmer that way to rest your hand on either side. Also it's a bit on the inclined angle, so yeah, that makes it a little difficult. Yeah, if it was a little raised up it would have been easier, but it just goes down and at an angle. And the second row seats are also slidable, so if there are passengers in the third row, then you can give them, which I'm pretty sure you will have to do that if there are adults sitting, so that's one good thing. So it's slidable and it's adjustable too, and the rear backrest is also reclinable, so there is the change of angle that you can do if there are no passengers obviously in the third row, so you can stretch during the longer journeys. There are 2 air conditioning vents provided in the back, and the control panel to change the temperature, that's about it, and the buttons for the heated seats. So the seats on either side in the second row are the heated seats. There's also this sun blinder for the second row of seats for extra bit of privacy, or if there are babies in the car seat, then yeah, if sun is falling directly you can cover them. And in the rear door cards, again there's soft touch material, leather covered, and the quilting design on the sides, again same plastic in the front where you're going to be resting hands, that's soft touch, and the carbon fiber plastic insert around the switches. And there's also a very small tunnel out here, and that's because there is also a battery pack, but still it's a all-wheel drive system, and still there is not big tunnel. And once I sit in the middle seat, it's actually quite soft and comfortable for the middle passenger also for once, just that the backrest is slightly on the firmer side, that's about it. There are also pocket storage in both the driver and the passenger side seat, and also on the top side there are more pockets provided to put maybe your iPad and also your phone while it is charging, so that's also been provided. So lots of use of the storage spaces in the second row, and there is also a third row of seat that is provided. So let's jump into them. Well, the third row of seats are definitely a temporary arrangement, especially if you are an adult, because the legroom out here is pretty tight, and the second row seats I've just pushed them a little away, which is how I've been able to get a little bit of this knee room here, but it's tight. And the headroom also, I'm already brushing my head against the ceiling, and the seats are just the flat bench type of setup, so two passengers can sit here, and there are these two long headrests also, which if I lift up and use them, they are also quite slim, so you have to really lean back to be able to use those headrests also. And this backrest is also adjustable slightly, so you can make it upright also a little bit, but it's just it's not something that you can use for a long journey. And the seats are all right in terms of the comfort. They are not perforated or anything, but just the flat bench type of setup. They are quite slim also, the backrest that way, but as I said, it's more of a temporary arrangement and not like a long-term solution if you're going on a long drive or anything. There are like two small windows also provided on either side. There are like cup holders on either side too, and some slots on the top to put your phones. That's about it. And there is also this plug point which you can utilize in the trunk space to use for all of your charging needs. But yes, that's the realistic situation. And if I push the seats completely back, then there is literally no space left, and that's how basically you get out from here, by pulling that lever and pushing these seats in the front. And to get in and out of this third row is going to be a bit of a task, because the opening is quite narrow that way, so that will be a little stressful for sure. And now once I put this in the normal position, these seats, then you can make out like there is literally no knee room left. So this is more of the realistic situation out here. So if the second row's passengers can push their seats a little further, then you will get some space. But as I mentioned, this is a temporary arrangement, and more like kids with shorter legs or smaller kids maybe can fit into the rear of these seats. Anyways, now I want to get out from here because it's quite comfortable in the third row of seats. And now let's go for a drive. So this 2025 Outlander plug-in hybrid comes with a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine and two electric motors, one in the front and one in the back, and this entire combination is mated to a CVT transmission that sends the power to all the wheels via the S all-wheel control system. So in terms of the numbers, so the two electric motors, one in the front produces 114 horsepower and 188 pound-feet of torque, whereas the rear motor produces 134 horsepower and 144 pound-feet of torque. And the entire combination of the engine and the motor, that produces 248 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque. Now in terms of the overall functioning of this gearbox and the engine and the motor, it's just pretty good, because I've mentioned even in the previous generation that how the way it functions is actually very well. It's just very clever. It calculates everything. You don't have to bother about, although there are so many options available to drive in pure EV or just charge it and do all of that, but leave it to the car and let it figure out, and it's doing the job very well for day-to-day use, which is a fantastic thing. If you're going to be using it as a daily driver, especially as a family car, then the ease of use is right there, so that's not going to be a problem. And the horsepower 248, the thing is that it mixes up with the motors and it fills in those gaps whenever there is the need of power, especially at the lower RPMs, and that it does very well. And it gives you a very smooth acceleration for sure, because you don't have to worry about when you need that extra power. If it's going to be, it's a bit slow to respond. Like currently the road, because as I said, it's filled with so much of water and muddy water, and even the all-wheel drive in slippery conditions, that's coming in quite handy because it's distributing the power very well. And the power need itself, as I said, yeah, it's ample for day-to-day use. I mean, yes, you might need a little more for accelerating into the traffic and stuff, but for day-to-day use, this is just about enough, and it's functioning very well. Now, in terms of the efficiency, so during the longer journeys on highways, I've been managing to get around 6.6 liters per 100 kilometers, and that's from the engine side, whereas from the motors, the efficiency has been around 18.8 to 19 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers. And on like city runs, when there is traffic, it's the engine is delivering between 8.8 to 9.5 liters per 100 kilometers, whereas the battery manages to give you 21.2 to 21.67 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers. Now, for day-to-day use, that's all right, and if you calculate the battery consumption, what's happening, then it's still delivering somewhere around 100 kilometers of range, whereas the claimed is somewhere 64 kilometers, 61 kilometers. So I mean, it's still doing better in that department. So 684 is the range, so definitely you will be able to achieve that much somewhere closer to that 650 or something. So yes, so in that front also it's truly efficient too. Now when we come to the suspensions, they are on a pretty comfortable side. There have been minor changes, subtle ones, to the suspensions also, mainly the rear suspensions and also the track rods and the tie rods and all of that stuff. So that's where some of the work has gone, and yes, it shows because the ride is quite comfortable and the suspensions absorb the bumps quite well, even though like this has the motor and the battery setup also. Now when we come to the steering, so the steering is again the electronic steering, and in terms of the response, it might feel a bit sometimes numb on some occasions, but it's okay. Like it needs a little more feedback from the system, but otherwise it turns well. Unlike for a sort of mid-size SUV, it's still doing the function quite well. And as I said, I've been last year for off-road excursions with this car, and that's where it really performs actually very well, and it's got good weight to the steering also. Now when we come to the brakes, so there are 4-disc brakes. The brake pedal is a bit soft especially, but the braking action is quite firm, just that yeah, there is a bit of travel to the pedal and there is a softness also, so you have to really push the pedal in order to brake. Now in terms of the regen, as I said, there are lots of various modes, like this one pedal drive, or you set it manually and then it charges the batteries quite well, so you get that extra bit of juice while driving also from that regenerative systems also. And it's very easy to figure out that one pedal drive too, so it's not going to be that difficult. Now when we come to the noise and the vibrations, so in fact there has been improvement in this generation, so it's a bit quiet, definitely just a bit of tire noise, that's about it. But yeah, the wind whooshing is quite under control, and so is the car itself. Feel very quiet on the inside, and the build quality is pretty good, so nothing is rattling or loose as such. Now when we come to the safety systems, so there are 8 airbags, 2 for the front driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags again for the driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags even for the rear passengers on either side, then 2 airbags on the pillars, and in fact there are 10 airbags. There are 2 more airbags for knee airbags for the driver and the passenger. Also child isofix points in both the rear seats. Then there is a 360-degree camera system, just that the rear angle needs to be adjusted, but otherwise yes, the quality is pretty good, although it can improve slightly. Then there is the blind spot warning, then the rear and the front collision warning, front pedestrian warning, then the lane keep assist, lane departure warning, the adaptive cruise control, tire pressure monitoring system, ABS, EBD, traction control, and of course the brilliant all-wheel control system also. So yeah, it's got everything, and especially this is a top edition, so yes, this has everything. Now in terms of the pricing, so the base variant, yes, starts from 35,598 Canadian dollars, whereas the other models, I'm going to put all the prices on the screen. Whereas the Noir, which is this variant, the Outlander Noir variant, comes in at 60,598 Canadian dollars. Now, in terms of the pricing, there is a huge variation from the ES to this. Now, if you still want something that's efficient, daily drivable, and you're not looking for too many, stuff on the inside, like you can live without those, cut back on that, then yes, the ES is the perfect one because it's 35,036 somewhere. Whereas if you want everything decked up, then 60 is the one, because every car is a plug-in hybrid. It comes with exactly the same setup. It's got all the good, goodies that you want from a car. It's value for money for sure. Yes, it can be a little more efficient in terms of with its competitors now that they have come up. So yeah, it can improve in that, but as a car, as a whole package, you're going to be most likely using 5 seats, and then you have a lot of trunk space also. So it's very usable, friendly, easy to use, and as I said, value for money. So I don't think this is to be neglected in this segment. You should definitely check this car out. It's just that it's got a good look inside out. Like, I especially, as I said, love the exterior, the front end of this Outlander, and so is the interior. Genuinely very relaxing and friendly. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to subscribe to my channel, then you can click on the red subscription button, press the bell icon, leave all the notifications on. I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care, and drive safe.